Hi guys, in this video we are going to look what is mocking in GoLang. So in the previous videos we have seen what is unit testing, what is mocking. Under mocking we have discussed about stubs, mocks, fakes. We have discussed about the testing package and its functions. Now in this video we will look the implementation of mocking. As we have seen earlier, that the main purpose of unit testing is to provide isolation, and mocking is the technique through which we provide isolation in unit testing. So now in this video we will see a simple example in which we will test a unit which is calling some another unit. So we will mock the external dependency and test that particular unit. Let's see a function which we are going to test today. So the function is declared in example2.go file in the package unit test. So the function is prime with this checking whether the number is prime or not, and returning true or false depending on that. Now it is calling some external function for checking that. Let's go to that external function. So that external function is declared in some another package, and it implements the interface use case in that package. So here you can see that it is using Sieve algorithm for checking all the prime numbers and finally returning whether the desired number is a prime or not. So now in order to test this function, we will create a file example2 underscore test.go. So let's create that file, and we have to satisfy all the conditions which we have discussed previously. So after creating a file, we have to add package which is same in which our function which we are going to test is declared. So our function is declared in unit underscore test package. Now the next condition is that we have to create a function which should start with test, and after that we can write anything, but usually we write the name of the function which we are testing. So we are testing is prime function. The next condition was it should have a unique parameter of type testing.t. So let's add that. Now we have already discussed about table driven testing, so we will create a struct array of struct containing all our desired test cases, and we will loop over that test case array and run each of the test cases using the testing package. So let's create test cases. Now in this we are declaring some fields. So let's declare fields. First we will have name, which will be a string. Then we will be having fields. These are basically the dependencies. As you can see in example 2.go, like in this struct, there are some dependencies. Like there is a max test use case, we are using that. So for that, we will be declaring fields. Now this will be a struct. So let's create a struct for fields. So we will create type fields struct, and this will take max test use case of type max underscore test dot use case interface. This is basically an interface. So let's write here fields. Now our next will be arguments. This will be also a type arguments. Let's declare that struct, and in this we will take a number which will check whether that is a prime or not, and that will be of type int. Next will be we have a want. It is of type bool. Now let's create test cases. So the first will be a name. So in this we will like check whether 5 is prime or not. In this case our fields will be now here we have to think, like if we pass here in the max test use case the same use case which was previously calling the interface functions, then in that case uh, it will not be a mockgen because it will call the original function. So for that case we have to create our own dummy functions or fake functions. So for this let's declare a struct of type, let's name this struct as max underscore test underscore use case underscore mock. And now let's create a function which is called by this use case. So let's create here u asterisks or anything you can write here. Let's name it max test use case mock and call the same function check prime. So that function was previously taking one input. Here you can see that it is taking one input of type integer. So let's pass here as well that now here we will see the difference between stub and mocking. So if we return in this function simply true, then in that case it is a stub because we are not checking any conditions. It is basically calling this function and returning the some predefined values. So and for mocking purpose, like currently in our case it will not be good for our test case because if it always return true, then for the numbers which are not prime, then for that cases our test case will return as failed. So for that case we will design a test case for some inputs. Let's check write it down that inputs. So we will check for 5, we will check for 16, and we will check for let's suppose 18 or 19. Now in here we will write some conditions. If n is equals to 5, then in that case it is returning true. And let's write two conditions here because here we are having two prime numbers, n equals to 19, otherwise return false. So it will return false for 16. So this is our mock because it is checking some conditions. It is not only returning predefined values but checking the interactions as well, because it is checking whether what is the number we are taking here. So here now we will pass our new struct which is the mock. So here we will pass this struct. So here it is saying that not an expression. Mm, I think there should be one more bracket. Now it is uh, now returning error. Now the third is arguments. In this we will pass our first argument, which is 5. So here number is 5, and for this case our want is true. So now let's repeat this. And here we are checking for 16, and here we are checking for 19. For this our want is false. Now let's loop over this test cases array. So we will apply for loop test cases. Now we will use a run package provided by testing package. Sorry, a run function. It will take the name of the test so that it can uniquely identify which test case it is logging the results, and it is taking another parameter of type function, which will take a unique parameter testing.t. Now we will call a function which we want to test. For calling that function, we have to create a variable of type use case, because as we have seen that this function is being called by a variable of type use case, and in that, under max test use case, we have to pass our mock interface instead of passing the original interface. So let's create that variable in our test function. So let's name it uh, let's name it u, and here we will call, but that is declared in our package. So because it is in the same package, then we can simply call that struct, and in that, under max test use case, we will pass. So here, as we have seen, we have already declared here the field. So where here we will pass our test field. So now we have declared the variable. Now let's call that function. So here we will declare got u dot max use case dot, I think it's capital, dot check prime, and in that we will pass our argument. Now if what we got is not equals to what we want, then in that case we will log error, otherwise we will log successful, test was successful. So let's, if got is not equals to test dot want, then in that case we will call the errorf function, which is in the testing package. So here we will write unexpected result, otherwise we will log like a test was successful. So let's run this. So for running the test function, we have previously seen that there are two ways. The first way is that we can simply click on this run test button, which is provided by GoLang. It will automatically run this test. So let's click on this button, and you can see that all our test cases are running successfully and it is printing OK here. If we change some value here, let's make it false, then in that case it will return false. Like it will return the test case fail, and it is also returning that for which particular test case the test case has been failed. So it has written that check whether 5 is not a prime, for that it has failed. So let's change this value again. Now the next way is to use go test command. So as you can see that in while running go test command, it is returning fail. So it is returning fail because as we have already seen that go test command run all the test functions which are present in the particular directory. So currently we are in unit testing this directory, and in this directory there are a lot of functions. So even if one test function is failed, then it will return the overall result as failed. So for seeing that which particular function has failed, we can see above that these functions are being failed. For more verbose output, we can use go test dash p flag with v flag, and you can see that our test is prime function is passed for all our test cases. So this is how we will mock external dependencies. Now you may be thinking that here the function was short, as like there was only one external dependencies, but how we will test if our function is having multiple dependencies, maybe 10, 20. In that case, it will consume a lot of time to mock all these dependencies. So for that, many popular programming languages like GoLang, Java, Python have some mocking frameworks which creates the mock of external dependencies just by creating or running one command. So for GoLang, there are mocking frameworks like GoMock, Mockery, which will create mocks of external dependencies and save a lot of time. Earlier, there were no such frameworks, so developers used to write all these mocks separately, and it consumed a lot of times. So in the next video, we will see how we can mock using GoMock, and we will also see one GoLang command called GoGenerate, which also helps us to generate mocks of external dependencies. We will also see how we can mock HTTP request, because there can be a condition in which our unit test has some external dependencies related to HTTP request. So let's meet in the next video, and please like, share and subscribe for regular updates. Thank you.